I heard an elderly man's voice outside the delivery room. If I had a grandson, this time I would give him a private island worth crores as a welcome gift. I had heard that the Mun family hadn't had a son in 10 generations. They already had 5 granddaughters. All that was missing was a grandson, someone everyone wanted to cuddle and love. Hearing this, I, a spirit hovering in the air, without a moment's delay dove straight into the pregnant woman's womb and was born into one of the country's most wealthy families. But when I got inside, I saw a tiny baby already huddled there. He was huddled up, not daring to come out. I mustered up my tiny foot and kicked him hard. The next moment, his shrill cry echoed and the delivery room door swung open. My father, Mu Wigo, was about to take me in his arms when the nurse suddenly lifted the baby and placed him directly into Grandpa's arms. Congratulations. Twins have been born. A granddaughter and a chubby grandson. The Mu family had been waiting for a son for generations. The desire for a grandson was like running through their blood. Hearing this, Grandpa threw away his stick in joy. He hugged me, his smile stretching from ear to ear. Yes, from ear to ear. Yes, our Mu family finally has an heir. My dear grandson, come. Let Grandpa take a good look at you. The man, known for his stern and intimidating demeanor in the world of business and finance. His smile was like the happiest emoji on someone's phone coming to life. Behind them stood 3 stunning young women and 2 adorable little girls. All of them had amazing looks and personalities. I, newly born, stared at them in amazement, my mind brimming with questions. Bakken Z. Just then, the third sister, Mugo, made a face and said, "Oh, he's so wrinkled. He looks just like a little monkey." My blood boiled. I wanted to wave my tiny fist in anger. But then I realized I was wrapped tightly in a cloth like a worm. I couldn't even move my arms and legs. I could only yelp and writhe like a caterpillar, trying to express my protest. "You're ugly. Your whole family is like monkeys." Grandpa immediately glared at me and said, "How do you know you looked even uglier when you were born?" Everyone present burst out laughing. Seeing me puffed up and sad, Grandpa immediately tried to pacify me. "How can our little prince be ugly? Don't listen to your third sister's nonsense. He'll be a handsome young man when he grows up." I remembered my mother's beauty and I was happy again. But the third sister still didn't relent. "Oh my God, he doesn't even have teeth." He looks like a toothless little old man. She laughed. I glared at her angrily. Then my eyes met her captivating big eyes. "So what if you're beautiful? Let him grow up a little. I'll settle the score with you first." Meanwhile, the third sister gave me just one look and then carelessly turned away. Little did she know that I had secretly harbored a grudge against her. Just then, Mumenshua, the eldest sister, came over smiling. "Our little brother is so adorable." The fourth and fifth sisters also came jumping and skipping. Grandpa, we want to hold our brother too." They were about to run toward me when the third sister lightly slapped them on the head. "You two, these tiny arms and legs. Will you drop your brother?" she said, extending her hands herself. "Grandpa, give him to me. You're old. You might get tired." But Grandpa quickly took a step back. "Oh, I'm still perfectly healthy. I wouldn't be out of breath even if I held my grandson all day." Then everyone started arguing about who would hold me. The entire atmosphere was filled with joy. But my gaze inadvertently drifted to a corner of the room. There, a girl stood quietly leaning against the wall. Her deep black eyes were completely calm, and her entire body exuded such a cold, aloof feeling that no one dared approach her. Except for her and that poisonous-tongued third sister. Everyone else fought to hold me. In an instant, I became the most beloved of this entire family. It wasn't until much later that I finally understood everyone's relationships. The oldest person was my grandfather in this war. As the only son born to the Mu family in 100 years, I received all their love from birth. I had not 5, but 6 sisters. 3 of them were identical girls. They were triplets. The most sensible and calm was my older sister Mushu. The second sister, Mushin, was quiet and cold-tempered. The third sister, Mungya, was the fourth sister, Mushiling, and the fifth, Mushizu, were twins of about 6 years old. The sixth was the poor girl I kicked out of her womb, Ayum. Finally, I had to accept a very harsh truth, though. Oh God, all the beautiful girls in this room are my sisters. So many beautiful girls, and I can only look at them. I can't even flirt with them, let alone romance them. This is truly God's biggest joke. Then my older sister smiled and asked, "What should we name our brother?" Her eyes hadn't left my tiny face. If Grandpa hadn't been here, all these sisters would have been fighting to hold me. Grandpa smiled. "It was decided yesterday. His name will be Mook. Saying this, he looked at me lovingly. He's our family's most precious treasure. My older sister nodded. Her eyes, too, were filled with love and affection for me. Mug, he said, what a lovely name. Everyone else was overjoyed, but I was grimacing inside. It's not a very delicate name. It sounds so soft. But when I saw the love and affection for me on everyone's faces, I changed my mind. At least I feel their love for me. I'll just accept it anyway. I glanced around the room. Hey, where's Dad? I later learned that as soon as I came out of the delivery room, Dad had run to Mom first. Even though Mama was the only son born to the family in 100 years, to him his wife was his most beloved princess. We twins lay together in a pink and a blue crib. Just then the sound of loud cries echoed in my ears. I stared helplessly at the ceiling. I felt like covering my ears, but my hands were too small to reach. I just waved my tiny fists in the air, helpless. Mushi-chan, please shut up. Yes, that timid sixth sister I had kicked out of my stomach was me, Shutin-chien. I wanted to scream at her with all my might, but all that came out of my mouth was, ooh, a childlike innocent voice, without a trace of rage. Meanwhile, my timid sister was crying incessantly. I couldn't take it anymore. I tried to turn over, but for a baby, just a few months old, even turning over was like climbing a mountain. A deep helplessness gripped me. I had the soul of a grown man, but I was trapped in this tiny body. I couldn't even turn a corner. Somehow time passed, and my first birthday arrived. Grandpa was sitting in the high chair in the front row, flanked by my triplet sisters. Even my father, always busy with work, had been specially invited, and Grandpa cleared his throat. I've invited everyone for something important today. Mug's first birthday is next week. This party should be so grand that people will remember it for years. And then, a wave of excitement swept through the entire family. It felt like the grandest birthday party in history. But at that moment, I had no idea that day I would stubbornly refuse to leave the house. Is this a joke? Even if I had a baby's body. But I have the soul of a grown man. I'll never go and celebrate my first birthday. Everyone tried to persuade me. Little brother, let's go out now. There will be a lot of people there. But no matter how much I tried to convince him, I just kept crying. Time was running out. The party was about to start. The whole family was worriedly circling around me, but no one could convince me. Just then, my elder sister Mu Menje opened the room door and came in. Hey, you guys haven't left yet. I casually turned my head, and my eyes met a pair of deep, star-like shining eyes. There was a strange, mysterious allure in those eyes. My entire attention was drawn to them. Behind Mu Menchue stood an unknown, beautiful girl. My eyes lit up at the sight of her. I immediately reached out for her. Wow! Finally, a beauty has arrived who can surpass even my sisters. The girl's name was Zan Linger. She reached out and looked at that chubby little boy. My fair, soft face was as smooth as a peeled egg. So cute that anyone who sees it can't help but admire it. But she furrowed her brows slightly and quietly took 2 steps back. Her entire body radiated a cold, distant aura, like a lone pine tree standing in the snow. I immediately pouted. Did she displease me? This was the first time someone had treated me like this since I was born. That very moment I felt an urge to possess her. Seeing my lips pout again, my older sister immediately understood what I wanted. Without a second thought, she picked me up and placed me directly in Zan Linger's lap. I smiled to myself, then, holding her tightly with both hands and legs, Zhan Mangshu laughed and said, Linger, please hold me carefully. This is our little prince of the family. Zhan Linger instinctively held me. The touch of my soft body was like cotton wool. A faint milky scent lingered, making anyone's heart melt. Perhaps it was her first time holding a baby. His movements were a little stiff. I shifted in his arms to find a comfortable position. He tilted his head and looked at me. I don't know why. A strange softness suddenly descended upon his heart. The coldness in his eyes slowly melted. Just then, I felt a burning gaze on me. A very handsome boy stood at the door. Short curly hair, fair glowing face. Like a prince, like a prince. I understood everything as soon as I saw him. Oh, so this boy likes Zhan Linger. The next moment, I planted a powerful kiss on Zhan Linger's cheek. Then, looking at him, I raised my eyebrows with a triumphant smile. You're not old enough to look at my daughter, he said. Ada! The whole room fell silent. Surprise filled everyone's faces. I was a child who wouldn't even let anyone touch his cheek. And today, I had taken the initiative and kissed Zhan Linger. The next moment, The burning gazes of many people in the room were fixed on Zan Linger. She herself was stunned for a moment. Gritting her teeth, the elder sister Manghue said, "Zan Linger, I consider you my best friend. And you're dreaming of becoming my younger brother's future wife?" Then she immediately explained in a soft voice, "Mungje, you don't kiss someone like that, Nat. What if you get infected?" The second sister, Muxian, said nothing, but her ice-cold gaze remained fixed on Zan Linger. The third sister, Mug, had a slight smile on her lips, but her eyes clearly showed irritation. "Why? I'm his real sister. Yet he likes a stranger more than me." Meanwhile, a boy named Sanyu was furiously twisting the hem of his expensive shirt. He barely managed to smile and came up to Zan Linger and said, "Sister, this little brother is so cute. Can I hold him?" Sanyu's face was smiling, but his eyes were fixed on Zan Linger. When he didn't protest, he assumed he had permission. He was about to reach out and take me in his arms, but I puffed out my hand and glared at him. Sensing his ploy, I issued a clear challenge. Sanu froze, his hand suspended in midair. How could a small child look at him like that? He was shocked. I immediately rested my head on Zan Linger's chest and stopped looking at him, as if what had just happened was just his imagination. The Sanu's hand hung in the air for a long time, unable to pull it back or move it forward. Finally, Grandpa took control of the situation. "Linger, it seems Mung likes you very much. Please take him in your arms and go outside. The birthday celebrations are about to begin. All the guests have arrived. How will it work if the main character is missing?" At the first birthday party, there was a long table, the other end of which was invisible. It was covered with a red velvet cloth, so soft you'd want to touch it again and again. The table was lined with all sorts of things: tiny brushes, paper, paintings, avena, embroidery needles, and countless other oddities. The entire table was filled with treasures. Today, my first choice was the Suibata gabbing ceremony. Wana. Grandpa held me in his arms, while Dad held my twin sister, Musichin. Both of us lovingly sat us down at the table. It was astonishing to think that, even in the tiny space of a child, the country's biggest industrialists and influential people were present. As soon as I was placed on the table, I immediately crawled towards Zan Linger. Just then, someone grabbed my back. I turned around and saw that my twin sister, Musichin, was holding my back with all her strength, and she was even trying to bite me in anger. Without thinking, I gave her a light kick. Then I looked at the things on the table. There were so many things, but not a single one that interested me. I sighed helplessly. Just then, my gaze wandering across the hall suddenly landed on Zan Linger. My eyes lit up. I ran towards her with lightning speed and grabbed her hand. No one had imagined that the little prince of the Mu family would leave such precious things on the table and grab Zan Linger's hand. The entire hall was filled with astonishment, but grandfather remained completely calm. He smiled and asked, "Munje, do you like this girl?" I nodded without hesitation. My 5 older sisters' faces darkened at once. It seemed as if their mere glances could burn someone. But grandfather burst out laughing. Looking at Zan Linger, he related an old story. Actually, the Mu family and the San family had been close friends for generations. The two families had previously promised that if one had a son and the other a daughter, they would marry them. But Zan Linger's mother died during childbirth, and the Mun family continued to have daughters. Therefore, the relationship never progressed. The more Grandpa looked at Zan Linger, the more he liked her like his future granddaughter. Meanwhile, my sisters were heartbroken. The biggest regret was my eldest sister, Meng Shui. I invited the wolf into the house myself. Grandpa suddenly said, "Daughter Linger, will you grow up to be my grandson Mungi's bride?" Before Zan Linger could answer, a voice echoed, "No!" Everyone turned around simultaneously. Sanyu was clutching the hem of his robes, his face red with nervousness. Seeing everyone's gaze on him, he quickly hid behind Zan Linger. Seeing him, a fire of anger ignited within me. Wow, you've mastered the whole green tea innocence drama at such a young age. I'm getting engaged. Who gave you the right to interfere? I wish I were older. But right now, I was just a 1-year-old. I could only wave my little fists in a voice. When he realized that Zan Linger and I were really engaged, he finally couldn't control himself. He mustered up his courage and declared, "These two can't get engaged, because I'm Zan Linger's boyfriend." The entire hall erupted in noise. Whispers erupted everywhere. I had to admit, though they were just kids, they looked like a really cute couple standing together. No matter how hard I protested, waving my tiny fists. The truth was, I was still just a little kid. Seeing the same expression in everyone's eyes, I became angry. What kind of look do you guys have? Just because I'm 101 years younger than her? So what? In terms of mental age, I'm older than her. Instead, I should treat her like a child and ignore her. Meanwhile, Hosanu couldn't hide the triumphant smile on his face. He bent down to squeeze my chubby cheeks and said to Grandpa, "Grandpa, she's just a little kid. She doesn't understand anything. It's not right to arrange an engagement for children like that." With that, he threw me a sideways smile as if to say, "Little kid, will you try to take me on?" I glared at his fake innocence. My teeth chattered with anger. Who said I didn't know anything? As soon as he opened his mouth to speak again, I seized his opportunity, grabbed his hand, and bit down with all my might. "Come!" He screamed in pain and jerked away. 2 clear marks of my tiny teeth immediately appeared on his arm. Just moments before, I'd been pretending to be a poor fellow, now resembling a hissing little feral kitten. Zonlinger saw my sharp and irritable nature, and for some reason, a faint smile appeared on her lips. Then she silently looked at Sanyu. That boy had been following her around since childhood. Anyone could easily understand what was going on in her mind. Zonlinger would never have gone along with the flow just to reject a marriage proposal from the Mu family. She would have accepted Sanyu as her boyfriend because she had never even considered falling in love at such a young age. When Zonlinger didn't respond for a long time, Sanyu became visibly nervous, his expression completely distorted. My mother, who was adept at reading people's emotions, glanced at them both in turn. She immediately sensed something was wrong. She asked Zonlinger directly, "Is Linger telling the truth? Why didn't you ever tell us about this?" Zonlinger glanced at me inadvertently. My eyes met hers at that very moment. I bared my teeth, glaring at her, as if threatening her, as if... Seeing my angry no face, she felt as if a small kitten had gently clawed her heart. A strange tingling sensation ran through her heart. The next moment, her cold, clear voice echoed throughout the hall. "I have no relationship with them whatsoever." Hearing this, her entire body went white in an instant. Her eyes turned red, tears welling up. She bit her lip, drawing a slight bleed. Meanwhile, I started laughing and clapping with joy. I felt like bursting firecrackers right there. Look, Green Tiro was making a real mess. He was trying to snatch my would-be wife. Now was he being humiliated in front of her? The guests started talking amongst themselves. These days, even kids are forcing themselves on a girl. Who could have imagined this boy from the Hu family's cunningness? He's young, but he's very intelligent. Are you telling the truth? A little more delay would have shattered such a wonderful relationship between the Hu family and the family. All this was clearly reaching Hosanu's ears. The sidelong glances from all sides made him blush with shame. He felt like the earth would split and swallow him. Yet he looked at San Linger with a last hope. "Sister Linger, I only wanted to help you. Why did you do this to me?" Zan Linger just slightly raised her eyelids. Her voice was as calm as ever. "Sorry, Mr. Hu. I don't know how to lie." These words struck Sanu like lightning. He stumbled back 2 steps, clutching the hem of his robes. Then, crying loudly, he ran out of the hall. This little spectacle soon ended. The atmosphere in the hall was filled with joy again. Guests came in one by one to offer their congratulations. "Mu sir, congratulations. Today is truly a double blessing. Now we can only wait for Mu's wedding." My parents and grandfather all stared at Yan Linger. The more they looked, the more they liked him. But the faces of my 5 sisters were worth seeing. They all sat with grimaces, as if someone had snatched their favorite vegetable from their home. Then Yan Linger suddenly said, "As for this relationship, I want to decide later." Mu is still very young. She was saying this with such seriousness that her cold, beautiful face seemed strangely endearing. My mother was completely melted by the sight of her. He immediately took Zan Linger's hand and sat her down. Even my father had to step aside. Anyone who didn't know would have thought Zan Linger was his own daughter. Mother smiled and said, "Okay, whatever our Linger wants. From today on, treat this house as your own." Grandfather also lovingly said, "Linger, you're very thin. Eat well. From tomorrow I'll have special nutritious food prepared for you." I was completely stunned by all this. What was going on? Am I no longer the darling of the house? The entire family was now hovering around Zan Linger. Everyone was worried about her. Someone was asking about her well-being, and no one was even looking at me. I was overcome with pride. Wow, Rimuj brought his love home, and now she's receiving more love than you. I've created my own biggest rival for love. The other sister, Mushian, also turned pale. Her heart ached at the sight of me. Just then, the third sister, Mugangyao, saw my flushed face and said with a laugh, Hey, you're the one who chose your future bride. Why are you sulking yourself? The second sister also smiled and said, Yes, little brother, let your future wife show some love. That's when the third sister accidentally blurted out. If Aunt Jen were alive today, she would have realized her mistake before she could finish because Zonlinger's face suddenly turned sad. Undad. Mugong Yao quickly changed the subject. Well, all 5 of us sisters are still single, and you, little one, was the first to finalize a marriage. But despite her change of tone, the sadness on Zonlinger's face didn't diminish. She seemed lost in some old pain. Her face now looked as cold and gloomy as the second sister, Mushian. I wondered to myself, doesn't she have both parents? After all, it was such a big occasion. Yet her father was nowhere to be seen, and I had never heard my parents talk about her family. I don't know why, but I suddenly felt a pang of sympathy for that snow-like, beautiful girl. Perhaps it was because I too was an orphan in my previous life. I felt we were somehow alike. But at the time, I didn't know the truth. Zonlinger's father wasn't dead. He had simply changed completely after her mother's death during childbirth. He had severed all ties with his wife's old friends. He even showed almost no concern for his own daughter, Zonlinger. He didn't even come for my first birthday as usual. He simply sent an expensive gift through a servant. Thinking of all this, I looked at Zonlinger. My eyes filled with pity and affection for her. But I couldn't figure out how to comfort her. Finally, I stretched out my small hands to her as if to say, Come, give me a hug. Give me a hug. As I stretched out my hands, my mother immediately understood what I wanted. Without a word, she placed me directly into Zonlinger's arms. Before Zonlinger could even hold me properly, I suddenly leaned forward and placed my tiny lips on his cheek. His face was as cold as ice and as soft as jelly. Touching him, a strange, sweet feeling welled up in my heart, and I could clearly feel the coldness in his eyes softening even more. Grandfather burst out laughing at this sight. See, Menge really likes our Linger. This relationship is a match made by God himself. He then ordered the servants to quickly call Mr. John, introduce him to his future son-in-law. A bell rang in my mind. Is Jan Linger's father still alive? Then, all that emotional kiss I just gave him was for nothing. A moment later, Jan Nanchang came in. Grandfather smiled and said, Nanchang, come here. Look at your future son-in-law. Father laughed and placed a hand on his shoulder. After all these years, your wife's last wish is finally coming true. We should be celebrating today with great enthusiasm. But the Mun family was welcoming them with such warmth while Nachang was equally cold. He glared at his daughter with a stern look. Janlinger, apologize right now. Then turning to grandfather, he said, Sorry, my daughter has no sense of etiquette. Wait. She ruined a perfectly good ceremony. I apologize on her behalf. Hearing this, everyone in the Mun family's faces fell. The atmosphere became completely heavy. Meanwhile, I exploded with anger. What nonsense are you talking about? The marriage between our two families was already arranged. John Linger and I being engaged is perfectly natural. So how did this joyous occasion become a mistake in your eyes? No one can take my future bride away from me. Who are you to scold her? You evil uncle. I wanted to scream with all my might. But, as always, only a childish cry came out of my mouth. In anger, I thrashed forward, kicking and screaming. But I lost my balance and fell straight off the table. The soft carpet beneath me thudded. Still, the pain of the fall was so intense that tears immediately welled up in my eyes. My second sister, Mushian, was the first to see me. She ran over and picked me up. But in her panic, she didn't know what to do. She just stood there, holding me tightly. Grandfather, too, left his argument with Zhang Nanshan and came running. He wrapped me in his arms. My dear grandson, let me quickly see if I'm hurt. He carefully examined me from head to toe. Only when he was sure nothing had happened did he regain his composure. Oh, my breath was almost choking today. I raised my small palm and patted his cheek. Console him. Grandpa, I'm perfectly fine. But Zhang Nachang stood there. There was not the slightest worry on his face, an expression as cold as ice. The next moment, Grandfather suddenly picked me up and placed me in his lap. It seemed he wanted to seal the relationship at any cost. Nanchang's face was about to soften a little. But I made up my mind I won't let you escape so easily. The next moment, everyone saw a large wet stain on his expensive black suit. Yes, I had lovingly smeared all my nose juice and saliva on his jacket, and even gave him a mischievous smile. Zhang Nachang's eyebrows immediately furrowed, anger evident on his face. Before he could say anything, Zhang Linger came running over. She immediately took me from his lap and began apologizing repeatedly. I swayed in his lap, muttering to myself, Why are you so arrogant. You're such a stern man, you're such a tough guy. Look, even my future wife is scared of you. You seem more like an enemy than a father to her. While everyone tried to calm the situation, Jan Na-chang stood there silently. The entire hall fell silent. Finally, grandfather said sternly, if you don't approve of this relationship, then consider that from today on, the Mu family has wasted all these years of friendship. Everyone thought this relationship would be broken. But then, Nanchang suddenly said, Grandfather Mu, you misunderstood. It was my late wife's last wish to be connected with the Mu family. How could I possibly reject her? Only then did I understand. They didn't hate me. They were simply obsessed with cleanliness, and perhaps worried about their daughter, who didn't know how to get close to anyone. A while later, Zan Na-chan began to take Zonlinger away. I held my would-be bride tightly. No, if you want to go, you go alone. My Linger will stay here. Zonlinger looked at my big, tear-filled eyes. Her heart clearly melted. She couldn't muster the courage to leave me. But then, her father gave her a cold look. Zonlinger pursed her lips in helplessness and gently placed me back in her mother's arms. Then, without looking back, she followed her father. I watched my beautiful bride-to-be walk away, and the next moment, I burst into tears. Oh, Uncle Snow, give me my Linger back. My cry sent the entire Mu family into a panic. All 5 sisters tried to console me. Someone brought a limited edition Gundam toy. Another brought White Rabbit candy. Someone offered a remote control car. Another a castle made of blocks. I was showered with wonderful toys and gifts, but this time, no one could convince me. Seeing the entire family holding me in their arms, I cried even louder. But little did anyone know that within this tiny body lived a soul that, in its previous life, had risen from the lowest rung of society to reach the heights of technology. These tears were not of sorrow, but of joy. No one in the house could calm me down. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pull on my head. I turned around and saw my twin sister Musichin innocently pulling my hair. My temper immediately flared. A haircut was fine, but the hairstyle shouldn't be ruined. The next moment, a shocking scene unfolded before everyone's eyes. I had just turned 1-year-old. Suddenly, he spun around and landed a perfect shoulder throw, knocking his sister over the shoulder. No. The entire hall fell silent. If Mu Menshu, the elder sister, hadn't caught him in time, his newly erupted baby teeth might have broken. A few moments later, Mushichen began crying loudly. That's when everyone came to their senses. All eyes turned to me. Who would have thought that the most delicate and beloved little son in the family would turn out to be so powerful? My heart raced. Oh no, have I been exposed? He knows how to fight at just 1-year-old. Now everyone will think I'm a spoiled brat. Seeing my sister cry, I felt a pang of guilt. I slowly approached her. I wanted to apologize, but as soon as my little hand touched hers, a miracle happened. Mu Shichen's crying stopped immediately. Seeing this, the third sister Muya burst out laughing. It seems a future Taiyo champion has been born in our family. My one move had such an impact that my father recognized my innate martial arts talent. He made his decision right away. When Jamu grows up a little, we'll send him to learn Taekwondo. I cried out in my heart, dear father, I'm already a master. What more do I need to learn? The third sister's face became even more excited. Her eyes sparkled. Rubbing her hands, she said, grow up quickly, little brother. Then we'll see who wins. I rolled my eyes. Keep dreaming of competing with you. But my mother, Yun Hyejuan, immediately objected. What martial arts? Taiyo. If he fights all the time, who will get married when he grows up? With one look from my mother, my 5 sisters immediately changed their minds. Yes, we're all here to protect our younger brother. I'll do the fighting anyway. He's got a thick skin. I silently clutched my head. Mother, my future bride is already decided. Just then, grandfather picked me up in his arms. My dear grandson, please call me Grandpa. I tried my best, but the same thing came out. Oh. The third sister started teasing me again. Oh, my little brother is already a year old. Can't he speak? Her words struck me straight to my heart. Was I really born with some kind of defect in my body? After that day, I became quite depressed. Everyone tried to make me laugh, but I couldn't. A few days later, I was sitting by the window looking outside, when a plump, small hand, covered in saliva, slowly moved towards my hair. It was my crying twin sister Mushichin again. Mushichin, you're crossing the line. I quickly backed away. I was about to retort when I noticed her hand covered in sticky saliva. I immediately took 2 steps back in disgust. She couldn't catch me, and the next moment, she started crying again. I held my head and climbed onto the railing of the crib, but she started crawling towards me with a runny nose. I screamed in my head, "Wait, don't come any closer. If your nose touches my clothes, I'll beat you for real this time." I was about to jump down when my mother heard the noise and came running. Her face went pale at the sight of me. "Don't move, Moo," my elder sister. Moo Menshu ran in like lightning. She held me tightly in her arms. "Don't be afraid, little brother. Didi is here." The whole family was terrified. Only Jichin was sitting there, unable to understand what had happened. The elder sister said helplessly, "Jichin, take care of little brother from now on. It's okay." Perhaps she was still afraid. If I really fell down, how badly I would get hurt. But I was flailing my arms and legs in her lap, thinking only one thing. First, keep me away from that trouble with that runny nose. I don't want to be with her at all. That's why I always considered Jichin a trouble. She suddenly extended her tiny hands to her mother and said in a lisping voice, "Mommy." Oh. The eldest sister, Munang Shui, jumped up first. The sixth sister started talking. She immediately said, "Mommy." Mother beamed with joy. She took Munshi-chan in her lap and kissed her forehead several times. "My good daughter, say it again." Munshi-chan, like an obedient child, said, "Mummy." I remained stunned. Did this crying girl learn to speak before me? How could that be? I immediately opened my mouth, using all my strength, but all that came out was, "Ah, ooh, and ya." In an instant, the entire family gathered around Munshi-chan. "Good girl, say mommy again." "Now say fourth sister, say fifth sister." Even the third sister, Meng Shua, came in and said laughingly, "Really, I never thought this runny-nosed girl would learn to speak first." I was sitting alone in the crib. With both hands on my waist, I was thinking nervously to myself, "Now, my love and affection is gone." I kept coming back, and here Shi-chan had suddenly become a genius. Elder sister, second sister, her words were coming out clearer each time. I went mad with rage. I was a reincarnated human being, defeated by a baby girl. This was the biggest insult of my life. But then, the third sister, Mungya, came to tease me again. "Mungya, look, Shijan has learned to speak. Now you too try saying third sister once." Seeing her mischievous smile, I felt like slapping her right there. But when I saw everyone's expectant gaze for the first time, I felt a sense of inferiority. I silently bowed my head. Even Mushimanga sensed that the atmosphere had become a little tense. She immediately began to lighten the mood. She started making dog noises, holding her nose. Hum. I thought to myself, what is this drama, bae? I couldn't understand. Just then I noticed the second sister, Mushian, standing at the door. She was just silently watching me. There was so much affection in her eyes, as if to say, "Muj, don't be afraid. Didi is with you." Finally, it was Mom Yoonhye-dwa who took control of the situation. She lovingly picked me up in her arms. Smiling, she said, "Whether my Muj speaks or not, he will always be Mom's most beloved son." The faint fragrance wafting from her body and her warm embrace brought tears to my eyes. In my previous life, I was completely alone, with no one of my own and no family. But in this life, I had finally found a home. Holding this joy close to my heart, I fell into a sweet sleep. I thought even if I couldn't speak for the rest of my life, it wouldn't matter. But when I opened my eyes, it was dark outside. I immediately grabbed the nanny's hand. With my wide eyes, I signaled her to take me downstairs. The nanny was astonished. She couldn't believe I could understand her words. Downstairs, the third sister Mungya sat with her head held high doing her math homework. Aya sat me down on the small sofa next to her and went to make me some milk. I quietly peeked into her notebook and laughed to myself. You can't even answer such a simple question. Didi, you're really naive. A little while later, she finished her homework. She stretched and accidentally nudged me. Then, with a swagger, she said, "See how smart your third sister is. When you learn to speak, I'll even teach you what 1 + 1 is." I rolled my eyes so hard in my mind that if she'd actually seen me, she would have been terrified. Teach me this childish addition. Do I need it? Just then, Aya came with the milk bottle. I grabbed the bottle. I took a big sip and squirted the entire milk all over Mangyao's clothes. Now her dog-like barking and coaxing me to stop. She had to teach me a lesson today. The one who used to tease me every day. My new limited edition clothes. Mangyao, she gritted her teeth in anger. But she didn't dare raise a hand on me. She stomped her feet in anger and went upstairs to change. And I was so happy I closed my eyes. The maid was stunned by this, probably thinking to herself, "Younger is quite the vindictive one." After venting her anger, I handed the empty bottle back to the maid. signaling her to make another. As soon as no one was around, I crept slowly to the sofa and hid Mu Mangyao's homework notebook behind the sofa cushions. I laughed to myself. Hee, what are you going to submit to school tomorrow? The next morning, Mu Mangyao woke up really late. She didn't even eat breakfast and rushed off to school. No one noticed the mischief in my eyes. In the evening, she returned home with her head down. She went straight to the sofa and lay down with a pout. The fourth sister asked, "Third Didi, what's wrong? Why are you in such a bad mood?" She said angrily, "I'm very upset." "Go away." She angrily picked up a pillow and threw it at her. The fourth sister, thinking, asked, "Didi, did you have a breakup, Nina pickup?" Just then the fifth sister taunted, "Boys like girls like, big sister and second sister not you." This statement struck Mangyao squarely in the heart. She slammed her hand on the table. "If you guys have a breakup, then shut up. First tell me, has anyone seen my homework notebook?" She had rummaged through her bag this morning, but she couldn't find it anywhere. The teacher didn't listen to her and punished her by making her stand for 2 periods. The more she thought about it, the more upset she became. Last night, I had put my notebook on the tea table. Just then, Mom and Dad came downstairs carrying me and Mushishachen in their arms. They saw Mu rummaging all over the hall like a madwoman. Dad roared as soon as they came down. "Oh, you naughty girl, you made a mess of the house as soon as you came back from school," I exclaimed, overjoyed. "Wow, Dad, you did a great job. Give her a good scolding." Mu immediately stood up straight. I didn't dare look at my father out of fear. "Dad, I'm looking for my homework notebook." Papa narrowed his eyes. "You didn't do your homework again, and now you're making excuses?" I laughed inwardly. Wow, a father is a father after all. My face turned pale and I quickly replied, "No, I finished my homework." It just disappeared. But then his eyes fell on me, and I was looking at him with a mischievous smile. Suddenly it dawned on him. I understood that Mug had deliberately spit milk on me last night. He must have hidden my notebook too. My heart sank a little. "Oh, you're not that stupid." But I wasn't scared at all. After all, who would believe a 1-year-old? It happened exactly as I thought. Papa angrily said, "You make the mistake yourself and blame your younger brother. Go face down. Go stand, facing the wall. Go face down." Silently, bowing my head, I went to serve my punishment. Then Papa picked